Hello, you guys!
Hey everyone!
We have a huge announcement.
We bought a home!
We bought our first home in Amsterdam.
We did mention it in a previous vlog that we moved to our new home that we bought. So this is the video where we will share with you our experience buying a home in the Netherlands.
Yay! A lot of you have been asking. Actually, we filmed one video before a long time ago, I think last summer, talking about renting versus buying. So you can check out that video there. But we talked about all of these perks, and then in the comments, a lot of people were saying like, you know, it's super hard to buy an apartment in Amsterdam, had all these questions about buying an apartment or a home in Amsterdam as an expat. And there's just like, it's just like a hot topic, right? Everyone's like during the pandemic probably wondering if they should buy, they should be buying in Amsterdam and all of those questions. So we ended up buying a place, and in this video we're just going to be talking about our overall experience of the whole buying process, how long it took, how much it was, all of those juicy questions that you probably have. We'll probably have some sort of an answer in this video.
Yeah, we want to share this information with you immediately because it's still fresh in our heads, because we just
Yeah.
moved into this new place only a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Maybe 4 months at most. So this is the first part of what we're gonna call buying a home in the Netherlands mini-series on our channel. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel and let's get down to it.
All right, let's go. All right, so first up, what was our first impression buying a home, like the whole process? How did you feel about it? Did we feel like, I know a lot of people were kind of like, you know, questioning whether it's even possible to buy in Amsterdam as an expat, whether it was difficult to do that, whether it was like extremely expensive, because we hear all these stories about how Amsterdam is so competitive and so expensive. How did we actually make it happen? And did we actually feel the same way as how people were talking about it?
I think overall, it was a very positive and smooth experience. I think it happened fairly quickly, and there wasn't too much of any issues or hiccups along the way. And I think we were really fortunate in that regard. I think one of the key things that we did to kind of help make it a good experience for us is to do a lot of research up front.
Yeah, so we definitely, same for me. I also thought it was a very smooth and easy, I must say, like, easier than expected experience, because I did also hear a lot of murmur how it's like so competitive and so hard to find a place. We had a lot of expat friends who took months and months and still couldn't find a place. And how long did it take for us? Probably
it took like 3 weeks.
3 weeks from the point we reached out to a real estate agent at maklaar to the point of actually winning a bid. No, it wasn't 3 weeks.
I think it took 3 weeks in total. Yeah.
Well, 3 to 4 weeks. I think it was like a month total until we got the approved, like the actual
I think it took
bid.
3 weeks from the moment we decided that we're gonna buy a place to the moment that we were accepted for a bid. And then obviously once you win a bid, there's all these time after the fact that it takes longer for your mortgage approval to be done, and etc.
Yeah, so we'll get into the details later in this video, but overall impression, I feel like it was actually extremely easy. Part of it was luck, I think, like timing as well of when we actually made the purchase. So we'll talk about that as well in a bit. But I think pricing overall was lower than expected as well. And this is in comparison to the other most expensive city in the world, Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We don't own a place currently in Vancouver, but we've had a lot of experience trying to get into the market multiple times in our adulthood. And so we kind of know the process, the prices we're looking at, and what you'll actually get, and you know, all of the things that come with it and how competitive it is. And comparatively speaking, I think buying a place in Amsterdam was almost sweatless. like it was such an easy financial decision compared to Vancouver, and the process itself was way more clear and easy to understand than I think in Vancouver. All right, with that being said, why don't we go through the process from the beginning to the end in like general terms? Just like let's just dabble into what we actually did from the beginning to the end of actually moving into this home.
I think the very first thing we did was we spoke to our friends who also bought here in this country. Multiple friends and also multiple of my coworkers as well, just to get different perspectives of everyone's experience with buying. Because some of our friends had longer experience buying a place because they may have taken a year before they landed their winning bid, or some of our friends got their winning bid in like 2 months time. So there was a disparity in different experiences. So we wanted to get all the information before we decided that we were going to buy it.
Right, and also tips, right? Because I think that market buying in Amsterdam is so different from where we came from. There's so many specific, particular things about buying in Amsterdam that you would never think about. And we learned so much just like getting those tips, because it's like something that you wouldn't even know if you didn't go into researching, and why would you research it if you don't know about it? So that's why we're also making these videos, because there's so many particular things that people should be aware of when they're buying in Amsterdam that they might not know about, especially if they don't have local friends. So fortunately, we had expats and locals who had experience buying a home here, so we got lots of tips for you guys.
That's the first part though, like getting tips and tricks and recommendations on how to buy a place in the Netherlands. But the second part, which is what we did spend a lot of time on, is doing calculation whether it makes sense for us to actually buy a place. Because buying a home is a very expensive purchase. It's probably going to be one of the biggest purchases you'll ever make in your life.
Yeah, so we did like a whole financial model, like on Excel. I mean, a super simple one, I think, but just kind of seeing what all of our expenses are and comparing it to buying versus renting, just to see if over the years we feel like this is a better financial decision for us. And it's very like customized and personal to our situation. So I know a couple people have asked if they can see the financial model, because we kind of talked about it in the buying versus renting video, but we're not going to be sharing it just because it is very manually created to fit our specific scenario, and I just don't think it would be very like applicable to a lot of people. So definitely try to do your own financial model and see if it's a good financial decision for your scenario.
Exactly. But we do have plenty of tips and tricks that we would love to share with you. Well, the first one is, because we are expats, one of the things that we did is we looked for English-speaking professionals during our buying process, whether it's from a mortgage broker to a maklaar, which is a real estate agent. Because we don't speak Dutch or read Dutch, it was very helpful to have professionals who can communicate well in English, but also are native Dutch speakers, so that they can really communicate with other people that they need to speak to during the process. Yeah,
but I mean, it wasn't difficult to look for an English. I would say most professionals speak English in Amsterdam, at least in Amsterdam. So we didn't look for expat specific services as some people have asked in previous videos. We actually got most of our maklaar was a recommendation from a local Dutch friend that I have, and she just spoke English really well, so we used her. And then for our mortgage specialist or mortgage broker, we just Googled like a company, and they had an English website. So we're like, okay, they must speak English. So it was very easy to find someone that was English speaking, but you definitely want someone that speaks English, because it would be hard to
Maybe the better tip is most people speak English, but because this is a big purchase,
English, right?
You want someone to be able to understand you and communicate well with you in English. So there's a difference between knowing how to speak and communicate in English and knowing how to actually understand what your needs are.
All right, so one of the very first things that we did to begin our buying process was reach out to a mortgage broker. Now, a mortgage broker is mandatory. So the reason why it's one of the first things you do when you're buying a place is because you want to know how much you can actually afford. So we just went on Google and found a company. We can definitely link the company that we use below, but do your own research because I feel like this is a very personal decision. And then the company that we went with just assigned us to our specific broker. We really liked him. He was very knowledgeable. And we basically just told him all of our financial details and basically got our mortgage amount that we think that we will be able to afford. So they will give you an approximate range of like how much they think you can afford.
Yeah, so it's a very important step because with that information, then you can go out on Funda and then look at what homes you can realistically afford rather than making a guess yourself. So tip number 1 is speak to a mortgage advisor first.
Mm-hmm. And then the next step we went was, okay, now we need to actually find a place. So there's a couple of places to look for a place, notably funda.nl. That's pretty much like the major place to look at listings. But then you can also get a real estate agent called a maklaar. So a maklaar, a real estate agent, is not mandatory in the Netherlands, or at least in Amsterdam, I think. But most people would recommend you to go with a maklaar just because they make the whole process way easier. And it is a price that you pay though. Like it's definitely a premium service. But we used a maklaar. So we reached out to a maklaar and asked her how she would help us during this process. And I think as expats, we really felt like we saved a lot of money and time and effort and worries and stress and sleep by hiring a maklaar for our purposes, just because while we did a lot of research, we also wanted to live our life and not just live in looking for an apartment for months and months on end. So we decided that we wanted one, so we went with a maklaar.
Yeah, we don't speak Dutch. We can't read or write in Dutch as well.
Yeah.
So having a maklaar can resolve any potential challenges during the process, whether it's Dutch documentations, because you will get all the documents of an apartment.
True. Like
all the VVA, which is the strata meeting notes, those are all in Dutch. All of the maintenance of the building is all in Dutch. So if you have a maklaar that can go through it with you and translate it for you, it is really beneficial. And if you're a Dutch person, getting a maklaar is also very beneficial for you as well, because some listings in some cities or some areas go through maklaars before they even go on funda.nl. So you can get an inside scoop of what's going to come onto the market before it goes to the market.
True. Next up, we have looking for the actual apartment. So we went on Funda as well as from listings that our maklaar gave us. And basically every day we just look to see what was available in the market. Keep a note that when we were looking for an apartment, it was in August. So because of that, I think it was actually perfect timing. While housing prices were going up and everyone was going crazy buying a home for themselves, August of 2021 was when everyone decided to go on vacation. And so meaning there were less people buying homes, there were less people selling homes, and hence there was less competition in general. But also I felt like, and I don't know if this was a factor, but we also felt like it was harder to find people to work for us. Getting our maklaar and getting our mortgage broker was a little bit more challenging than we expected. And I don't know if it's because of an August thing, a lot of people went on vacation during that time, so people were a little bit less responsive. But because of that, I feel like it was great timing to buy just because there was so little competition, but also less places to select from.
So the next step that we took was we were proactive with booking our open home viewings. Yes, our maklaar could have done it for us, but we wanted to not risk losing out on a potentially good home that we could potentially buy. So anytime a new listing came up on Funda, we instantly made a booking, told our maklaar, and we went ahead and did the viewing. And as soon as we saw a place that we could see ourselves living, we made a commitment that we would just place a bid immediately.
Wow, sorry. The sun is coming into this video. I'm welcoming all of you, so that's why I'm like squinting. But great point. Basically, we went to multiple listings. Like whenever there was home viewing, we basically just went if we were interested in the place. And let's once that video, we're gonna have a whole video about our apartment hunting process up. So we'll link it in this section here once that video is up. But it was a very fun process actually. We went out to check out all these places. One really great thing about hunting for an apartment in Amsterdam is all of the apartments look so different. Compared to in Vancouver when we went apartment hunting before, every apartment looks so similar. It's just bigger or smaller. Whereas in Amsterdam, I feel like there was just so much variety, very unique homes, very interesting kitchens and bathrooms. And I'm excited to share those videos with you because it was actually a pretty fun process.
It's true, because Amsterdam homes have a lot of character. They've been around and built for hundreds of years. In Canada and Vancouver, a lot of homes are cookie cutter templates. It's just a matter of where do you want this box? Is it in this part of town or another part of town?
So after I think 2 weeks of looking at a few different apartments, we actually didn't look at that many. We probably looked at
no more than 5.
4 or 5 apartments. We basically, the last one that we looked at, we really loved it, which was this one. And then we just told our maklaar that we want to put an offer in. And it was just really easy. We just told her, she made a recommendation of how much we should bid, or where she thinks the bids are at. And unfortunately in Amsterdam, it is a bidding system. So most likely you're gonna be going over the price that's stated. But basically we made our bid, and then I think probably a few days later, was it a few days?
A few days later, we got a phone call from our maklaar. Actually, funny story, we just came back from our Champagne trip in France. And she told us the good news on the way back. And we were super excited. We were in the car dropping off a friend. And we literally got the phone call there.
If you like it and you both like it as much as we did, then it's yours for this amount.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. This is the wonderful thing about getting a maklaar, is we were literally on vacation while we made this purchase, because we just knew that we had someone that we can trust, that a professional that was handling all of the details for us and the negotiations for us. And literally the moment we came back from vacation, we got the offer, got the home. And then we were homeowners. And then basically, not officially, but in the next couple of weeks, we had to do a bunch of paperwork. We had to start packing up our home. We had to go to the notary and basically sign a couple documents.
But the most important thing, once your bid is won, then the first thing we did was get our mortgage approved.
Oh yeah. Almost forgot about that step. Very important is getting your mortgage officially approved. So in Amsterdam, you can't get actually, I think you can, but in most scenarios, you don't get a pre-approval on your mortgage.
It takes about a week-ish for the approval from the mortgage company.
The
lender specifically.
That whole time I was freaking out. I was we're not gonna get the mortgage. I was so worried. And then thankfully we did get the mortgage approved for the amount that we needed. And that's the point where we're okay, we're pretty much in. If we can afford it, we can, it's already been approved. And so we just had to get the paper signed a couple weeks later, formally.
And then we bought furniture immediately once the mortgage approval was done.
Right.
Because that was kind of pretty much the second last step before everything becomes official. But we did realize that there was such long lead times with ordering furniture and getting it on time. So we bought it ASAP.
So we're also gonna do another video of us hunting for our furniture and putting furniture together. So we'll link that video here once that video is up. But this whole process in general was just really actually fun. And it wasn't as stressful as I thought it would be. So to me, it was actually a very pleasant home buying experience.
I agree. It was really fun. I mean, it was a bit stressful when we were waiting for the mortgage application to go through.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was really stress-free and worry-free. But we understand that that's just our perspective, our personal experience. Again, we've spoken to friends and colleagues who've had a bit tougher situations with buying a home here.
Yeah.
So understand that buying experience is different for everybody. But that's why we're here. We want to create a resource to provide to you so that we could maybe in some way make it easy for you to buy a home in the Netherlands.
Absolutely. So I think that kind of wraps up the video. We just really wanted to share the great news and like celebrate that we finally have this beautiful home. And this is kind of like the first video of a series, like Jesse has mentioned in the beginning, of our whole process in detail. We'd love to share, what the mortgage experience was actually like, what hunting for an apartment was actually like, what buying furniture was actually like, and just like the whole renovation process. So if you are interested or you're looking into buying an apartment in Amsterdam or a house in the Netherlands, then subscribe to us and keep watching because we have lots of very exciting videos coming up.
And please give us a like for this video.
All right, see you in the next video.
Bye.
Bye.